because of it. Good morning. It's Friday. I am so excited that it is Friday. And this is the Friday Grief Chat. And I'm Jill.
I'm Deb. And
we talk about all the grief.
There's been a lot. And this whole week and different shootings. I never mentioned I guess what happened at Central Synagogue last week.
Oh yeah.
And you know how wonderfully safe and secure people feel with gloves that can take you down. And oh man, it's just been.
But where do you start? And how do you take it apart?
Where do you start?
And how do you continue to maintain? This has been a continuous theme for a lot of my people this week is how do you maintain your sanity and your safe box so that you can let that stay out while you're still being vigilant and responding to it, so nobody thinks you're just going, okay, I'm not going to pay attention.
Right.
There's all those, there's balances everywhere. And,
you know, I was just telling Jill, I am in a place, I don't have my notes, but it's called CTIF, CTF, Illinois. And it's where people communicate and some give services, some work with people, different ages and different disabilities, and help them maintain through communication as well as, doing something physically, working with a trach or whatever. People here are working with all different types of people. And today's topic that is sort of near and dear to my heart is bias, preference, and prejudice. And then stereotypes come in there, and bigotry comes in there. And much like Jill and I do for the show, nothing is off topic. And so I say things pretty frankly, and I give really great examples that I've given on the show about when you are just think differently than other people. That can be a preference versus when you're mean, it's bigotry and prejudice. And there is also confirmation bias. And this is a big one with in-depth education.
Yes, it is.
And confirmation bias is simply this: how many of us, when we've had a fight with whomever and we go talk to a friend, because pretty much,
it's playing telephone.
Yes.
To have someone tell you did the right thing.
Right. But also, we know, Jill, if I go and tell Jill, oh my God, you're not going to believe the bullshit that just happened. And am I wrong? Did I do this? She would tell me, but she's going to be my safe. She is going to confirm what I already know. That is what Jill does, as I would for her. I'm going to confirm, that's why it's confirmation bias, confirm that Jill is already probably going to agree with me. And she might not say what I could do different, even if I ask right then. She would use that like counseling head and tell me later. And I would do that with Jill.
Right.
And we have. So why is this important?
Back.
Because we're very self-reflective. In fact, to even do the show, and even after a lot of our shows, Jill and I reflect back to each other and reflect on our own behavior, our own, in the beginning, oh man, did I have my mouth open like this too much? Or I nod my head too much. Stop it. I look like a bobblehead turtle or Jesus or somebody. And so
That might be
That
fun.
is
Oh, Jesus.
how I started off, is the same way I ended, which is there won't be any changes until we take it upon ourselves to reflect, to change our awareness and our consciousness. And same thing with death and dying. You know, I might not agree with everybody that is talking about their I don't agree. It's their experience. I can't change that. But then their conjecture from the experience, and that's when you start saying, all Amish funerals are like this, or all this, or nobody ever, and things like that. Hi, Mary. So one of the things, I don't take that away. I don't openly always disagree. I try, it's called gray rocking, or I just let them be where they are because they didn't ask any questions.
I do the death education and let's walk back through that again when you're ready, and let me give you some information about what was likely happening when you were there and you hadn't been prepared for what was happening. As the same with grief. People who walk in and I feel like I'm crazy, and you're grieving and your brain is doing what brains do in grief. But we don't talk about that.
No.
One of my thanatology students in the class that's ending this week is doing a whole program for having meetings. Let's talk about loss, not even grief. Let's talk about loss. And she did some interviews with folks and found that was more approachable than a grief support group.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one step back and it's a little softer, but still, when they get there, they're going to talk about all the things.
They are. And, Jill and I were just talking about prejudice and bias and bigotry on airplanes, and people with that are have larger bodies.
Or wheelchair.
Or a wheelchair. I mean, I didn't realize they'll carry you.
Qantas threw somebody off an airport, off a plane a couple weeks ago because they said that the wheelchair didn't fit when in fact it did. And the number of wheelchairs that are broken without apology is just incredible. It's really hard to be different and to need services when you're in public spaces.
Right. And then, so there was one person in our group that a person of color and Hispanic. And he and I had a great little conversation afterwards. But in there, he was saying how people make assumptions about him even speaking Spanish. And I did it on purpose. I go, what do you mean you don't even speak Spanish? You're Hispanic. Don't you care about your people? Or I said something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Emphasize a point, and that people have to, we are one of the few countries, Rosie O'Donnell was talking about this. We are really one of the few countries, I don't know who else does this, that if you don't speak the native language, we say, go back to your country. Where if you don't speak Russian and you're in Russia, they help you. Okay, not everybody helps, and that's not their first, if it is their first thought, they at least don't say it.
When we were traveling by train in Europe a few years ago, and we had to switch trains in Brussels, the signs were in 5 languages.
That's right.
And it was so much easier. It was not, however, accessible for handicapped folks. The lift, it was like an escalator, but it didn't have stairs.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have to just sort of lean forward and hold your luggage. And for someone who doesn't have great stability and uses a cane, they are lucky I didn't start an avalanche and kill everybody and take them all down too.
Right.
And there were in the tube in London, they're infamous for having lifts that don't work. So you can't get out of the train station.
Exactly.
Which is a problem.
Not only can you not, you can't even get in.
Can't get into some, can't get out when you get there.
That's right. And then the trains, it's not like, I mean, you have to step up to different things. So unless you travel with a companion and have your own adaptable devices, you are SOL.
And that's why that's the loss involved in becoming more dependent on accessibility, is that you are grieving who you used to be, and you are also grieving the way that you are now treated differently, and that those around you may not even see it that way. They just see it as, oh, well, you know, you're making do. Making do can be really hard. And, you know, when we go on cruises, and trying to get onto a lift can sometimes be hard because 42 people in one family want to be in the same one, and they are not going to make room for a person who's got 4 wheels around them. That doesn't fit. So they just hit the button and go away, and you get left behind. It's a lot of that. And I put up a link for Misa on Wheels on Facebook. Misa is someone who is in a wheelchair, but it's not like, for me, it's, why can't we see the world as needing everything to be accessible to everybody, not making accessibility a special factor?
It's like, I don't know where I heard this. Someone gave this example, and then they said, what am I, chopped liver? Like, I'm just leftovers? And who likes to feel like that?
Right.
You don't want somebody else. Would you like to feel like, because you're right-handed, that it's a left-handed world?
Right.
Because it's really a right-handed world. And over the years, and I mean over the last 100 years, because if you were left-handed, your left hand was tied behind your back or bound some way so that you couldn't use it, because it's only a right-handed world. And then, and now, you know, starting in the 80s, that's when I started to see more, and late 70s, you know, the only people who were special and left-handed were pitchers.
Right. And then it was good. Right.
Yeah.
But now I can buy Stacy left-handed notebooks.
That's right.
And left-handed scissors and all those things. And I really don't care how she uses her utensils. It's as long as it works for her. Part of the bias is the judgmental, which also brings in the person who is different in whatever way, wanting to sometimes just sort of disappear or not have their difference noticed.
Right.
Which is, for me, I don't care if people see my cane. I buy loud canes just so they will see them. And they told me this week that when I'm getting my knee replacement, I'll be on a walker. And I said, well, I'm going to get the royal blue one and put lights on it and a horn, because I intend to make a statement with this. But when you're gluten-free, you know, there's very few places you can go to eat. And I am okay with, you know, let me have a salad and I can have a dressing. I know there's one back there that I can read the label, and I'll just eat a salad and I'll be happy, and then I'll eat something later. But it makes everyone else so weird. They have to figure it out for you. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm okay with this.
I had to, mostly because I have to eat basically gluten-free. I don't have celiac, which is a whole nother level. So as I was having them practice bias and prejudice by the different foods they were picking, I had to say, first off, they said, "What is this?" I said, "I'm not going to tell you what it is or what country it's from or what nationality. I will say whether it's gluten-free, nut-free, or I don't know, don't touch it." And so anyway, you have to do that now if you do anything with food, right?
Right.
So there is a certain loss. I know when I was in Alaska 10 years ago and traveling, and I had recognized I cannot eat gluten, and that was 10 years ago. And 3 weeks of traveling with friends, at week 2, can we please look and see if they have, like, I didn't say anything. I'm the shortest, just sitting back. I'm this, whatever. They never thought to ask, why does Debbie not? And it was lonely.
It can be.
For me, it was very lonely. And not having, someone to bond with on the trip, right? I figured it out later, but it was at times something that's supposed to be fun was lonely. So in any case, why am I saying all this? Because in losses are not only have to do with someone dying, their loss of not being included, loss from being different,
loss of being stared at. Right.
Stared at, yes. When I was in Japan, because today I'm wearing something, I'm wearing something, and people saw like the edge of my tattoo. So when the show was done, when the program was done, they said, "Can we see your tattoo? And can you tell us about it?" I said, when I was speaking in Japan, someone had the courage in the college classes, each college class, "Do you have any questions?" And they spoke Japanese, and so there was a translator. Tattoos meant gangs.
Right.
So they asked me about my tattoo.
What gang is Deb in? She's in the Red Nose Gang.
Good one. So, there's all that, and how do you educate people? How do you
talk?
I mean, you talk.
You talk. When my first wife, Linda, was using oxygen, because she died ultimately of pulmonary fibrosis, which means your lungs turn into loofah sponges, which does not promote good air exchange. And so if we went out, she had an oxygen tank for the last 6-8 months of her life. She still kept going. She didn't sit in a hospital bed to the last week. She was that person. But people would look at her and see that tank and boldly tell their children within clear earshot of us, "That's what happens when you smoke. You get lung cancer and you die because you can't breathe." And the first couple times, okay. The third time I said, "You know what? She's never smoked. She has a disease. This is what it's called. And she's going to die. And you just told your children it's okay to blame her."
That's
May
another
I suggest
part.
you think twice.
Yes.
And then when Casper and I were out one of the last times in public, we were walking the mall, and she had Lewy body dementia. which meant she had a Parkinsonism and she would freeze when she walked, and her words were slurring. It was all part of the disease process. And twice we had people at that mall tell security there was a drunk woman staggering down. Nobody asked. So we had to do education there too. It's the immediate judgment rather than the let me take a second look and see if maybe someone might need help, or I might need to be educated, or at least I need to be kind.
And in police officers that don't know anything about neurodivergence or autism or certain other mental health issues, and how, I mean, how many of us, what?
Look what happened to Jill's son.
Yeah, right. Jill Harrington, right?
Right.
And for our listening audience that don't know, she was a researcher and speaker in the death and dying field. Correct? Am I correct?
Still is. And she lives in the DC area. Her son was autistic and living in a place that was meant for people with disabilities, and he called for help.
Yep.
I'm going to
and the police showed up, and someone calls for help. You can't assume that they are in a heightened position for whatever the help they need. They are in an anxious state, and they restrained him. And did they shoot him too?
Yes, that's how he died.
And it's like, why did you bother showing up if you can't keep these other things in mind? Why are you doing this job, especially showing up to an area where there's a lot of disabilities? And the person themselves called for help. So
we're not trying to, this is not supposed to be a grouchy thing today. We want to have people thinking about what happens when someone has some kind of disability, obvious or not, and where do we go with that? And do we understand them well enough where they're sitting?
And there is, so in the biases I talked about, there was confirmation bias, there's also sampling bias, and there's also genius bias. And that sort of floored me. I didn't realize it was like that. No, it's called brilliance bias. But in any case, when people don't let new information in, when you're learning to change your bias and you only listen to what you know, that's when people, not just police officers, people, they don't let themselves realize that there are more left-handed people. There are more people with a cane. There are people, there's no way for them to get to this area of the airport. And sometimes people who have an accident or something, they don't know that they can call up the airport ahead of time and say, I need an assist. And did you know your family, if you say, I have a caretaker with me, they can take you right to the gate.
They will, and they'll put you in the special handicap parking spot, which sometimes is taken by non-handicapped people. Ian, you did that. Good for you. Yeah, but now we've got some new bias with that because we're finding out that airport staff are calling people in the handicap area airport lice. And they're airport lice. And they are assuming that they don't need a wheelchair because they're clustering. And they're assuming that they're using wheelchairs to get special entry to the plane, not that maybe they have a disability you can't see, because not everyone has a scar to designate that there's something wrong.
People that have a handicap placard and in wherever, and they get out and they're not limping because they might just be having a good day, but that doesn't mean they can walk 30 feet. They only can walk 10.
You put me on a plane and take me up to that altitude, my stroke damage when we get down is not going to be a happy camper.
That's right.
And I need to hold on to both the side of the jetway and my cane in order to stabilize myself to get where I need to go. So yeah, it's Ian says he got a wheelchair to and from the gate and through the car rental. And Lynn is thanking us for talking about this. And Lynn, I'm so sorry about the loss of your brother. I really am.
Oh.
And tell our favorite dog hello. We don't have disabilities people can see, but I was at the grocery store the other day and there was a small child having a clear meltdown, and he'd been stimming. I had seen the stimming in one aisle, and then he had a meltdown, and other people were starting to make comments, and a little kid from maybe 2 years older than that one said, I think maybe they're autistic. And the small one shut everybody up. And I thank him for being special and to being concerned and being caring, because we don't know what's causing things. We just need to make space for it.
Right.
We really do, because it's hard enough being different. And that's why I'm so wild about our little raccoon. You know I'm going to bring him up. Our little Jimothy. If you don't know Jimothy, you got to look up Jimothy. Put him on Google. He'll run across your screen. He's a little differently abled raccoon.
He has a disease process, or the disease already happened, where his spine is shortened. So most raccoons are like this. This one's like a turtle.
He is, and he runs around like a turtle, and his mama takes good care of him. And the city of Seattle has fully embraced him, and Ian loves him, and he's on the players' shirts when they're working out now for the baseball team there. But Jimothy is the guy who has a different appearance, has different abilities, can't scramble like most raccoons can. He has his own little scramble. And absolutely nobody is making fun of him. They're like embracing him. Just like when we had Punch last year and everyone felt for his lack of a mama and his need for his stuffed animal, because he had a loss too.
Right.
We can do it for small creatures.
Why can't we do it for each other?
Right.
I know.
Why can't we understand? When I do education, big programs for people about dementia, for providers and therapists in particular, I do a whole thing. Everyone gets a paper bag when they come in, and it's got white cotton gloves, and it's got a cheap pair of sunglasses that have been etched, so you can't see clearly through them. And it's got some things that need to be manipulated. And it's got a sweet and a salty thing in it. And there's a dark round rug at the entrance to the room. And a dark round rug halfway through the aisle they have to go up. And we dim the lights. And I put on background noise. So that's like weird music. And they look very confused. And I let them sit like that for a bit. And I make them put their glasses on. And then we talk about, this is what it's like as a dementia patient moves through the cycle. They lose vision. They lose the ability to differentiate. Their taste changes, and they can't manipulate things as well. You are experiencing what your client is. Don't tell them that they need to work harder at XYZ. They don't have the capacity. Which is really important. Mary said there's a little boy that has muscular disease that was denied early boarding at one airport. He can't walk far at all and just recently started walking. I saw that one. And Lynn said her brother was disabled for 30 years after being shot. My goodness. So everybody's had these experiences.
Right.
And yet, like with so many other issues, it's still happening.
And how do you reverse ignorance through education?
Talking.
And speaking up, but not speaking up like you're wrong for thinking this way. That's not going to do anything. What you can say is, have you considered? Or what about? Or in your case, let me explain what's really happening, as in giving the facts. And yet there are still people who think that there is a flat earth and that vaccines cause autism.
There are lots of people. Yeah. And when I have, go ahead. When I have clients who have just moved into a new level of disability and are now needing to use some kind of device for mobility, they argue because they have an inherent bias that it makes them look old or sick or incapable, because they've carried that bias toward other people without really knowing it. And I will stand up in front of them or in front of my camera, plant my cane firmly on the ground, and dance around it and say I'm a pole dancer in addition to needing a cane. And you can have fun with having a disability if you do it right.
Exactly. When I went on medication for extreme depression and anxiety, back then, don't tell anybody and don't say anything. And I'm like, no, that's not who I am. So people say, how are you? And I go, I'm good. I took my meds today and I'm not arrested. And so I say that in a humorous way to put that out. Usually nobody says anything, but occasionally they go, are you serious? And I go, yes, I am. And people didn't want to talk about therapy. People still think therapy shows a weakness, and it doesn't. So, yeah. I have
a client who just who's having major surgery tomorrow, was going to need a walker and doesn't want a walker, but that's a surgery so big. So I said, there's a disability store right down the street, except I called it the accessibility store. And now they have this little package for anybody getting a walker. And it's got a tray table to go over your walker that still leaves room for your hands. And it's got a cup holder, and it's got a horn, and it's got a few other things and a bow. And you get the package. And when the walker comes, you pop it on. And then it's a celebration that you don't have to carry your sandwich anymore.
That's exactly.
That's how walkers should be delivered, and wheelchairs. Yes. They should have all the bells and whistles.
Yes, right? Definitely. Yeah. It's the bells and the whistles. Yes.
Right. And I know, in the airport, I will say, when you're being pushed in the airport in a wheelchair, Ian, I don't know if you had this experience. Those people go so fast, and people in front of you, people don't look down. They don't see small children, dogs, or wheelchairs. And so I'm literally in this chair with my cane in front of me like a bar, and going beep, 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 because otherwise we're going to hit somebody.
Right.
Because San Francisco especially, those people do not mess around. You are going to go at 90 miles an hour. And it's a danger. So
O'Hare also.
Yes. O'Hare is even crazier. I'll never do that again.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Deb, thanks for bringing this up.
Oh, it's my job.
It is.
I want to say that next week we are planning on having somebody. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but I might see if I can put it off for a week.
Okay.
And see if I can't reschedule them. That might be the best.
So we'll be back here, or I'll be back here.
You'll be back here.
I'm here.
Yes, Jill will be here.
I might find somebody to come with us, but I'll be here, and And even though Deb's not here, you can all come back because it's fun to talk to Italy and it's fun to talk to Mary in the middle of the country. And we love having Stephen, even though it's coming up to Shabbat. And we love everyone else who shows up. And Lynn, thank you for being here. So please come back.
Oh, please do. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.